Hey everybody! I'm Cameron.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this is the Watching You Watch podcast.
Anime edition.
Woo! So yeah, this is us. This is the Watching You Watch podcast where we recap TV shows with the theme that some of us have seen them before and others have not.
That'd be me.
Yeah, in this case, this is Caitlin. We are watching Attack on Titan. This is our first anime that we've done for the Watching You Watch podcast, and we're pretty excited about it.
Oh, super excited.
Yeah, Caitlin's happy this week.
She is. So, yeah, if you're tuning in for the first time, Zach and I here have seen Attack on Titan before. We've watched every episode. Zach, you've read the manga.
Oh, man, I'm up to date. It is fantastic.
Yeah, I've read some of it.
It's so good.
And Caitlin has not. She hasn't seen a darn thing of it until we started showing her it. So today we watched episodes, which episode numbers did we watch?
6 through 8.
6 through 8. So
interesting stuff.
Yeah, if you've seen the anime before, roughly this puts us in the timeline of the Battle of Trost. It kind of begins with the fallout of Eren's apparent death.
Keyword apparent.
Yes, keyword apparent. And ends with him rising in a cloud of steam from the body of a Titan.
Woo!
Yeah, so, Caitlin, why don't you recap for us sort of the highlights of these couple episodes here we watched?
All right. So, picks up with Armin basically in PTSD mode. And,
a little bit.
Obviously terrified and like, oh my gosh, I've lost everybody.
Yep.
And, basically that was it.
Well,
Congrats to the person who's, does the dub, because his scream is convincing.
It is convincing.
Yeah,
oh my. Yeah, so then basically the rest of the squad has to regroup and figure out where to go from here after losing, everyone. We get to see Mikasa being awesome, of course.
Of course.
And,
you have to specify.
Yeah,
There's too many
obviously.
instances.
So she, basically they save all of the civilians. And Mikasa's, cool as crap by, killing every Titan in her path. And we get to see her backstory because we understand now why she is so cool. Basically, she's the only Japanese person left.
Yep.
And, that's got to be a statement that they're obviously better than everyone. But, yeah, so we get to see what happened to her, which was super brutal, and it's why she's so callous at times. We get to see her parents, and they were brutally murdered in some sort of a nasty sex slave trade going on.
Yeah, some weird human trafficking stuff going on.
And who comes to the rescue but Eren and his father. And, his father's just doing this regular medical trip, and then they find her parents are dead and Mikasa's gone, and Eren takes down these grown men, and they're probably 8 at the time.
Yeah,
and
something like that.
Yeah, he literally kills them, and as he's struggling to die, he doesn't want to die, obviously, but as he's struggling to survive.
Sometimes it feels that way.
Exactly. She's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. And he's like, you have to fight. And then she does. And it's like she goes into super Mikasa mode.
Yep.
And we get to see now that she fights for Eren. And there's a reason for that, and that's how it's always been. And so at this point, she doesn't even know that he's dead until she recoups with the rest of the squad, talks to Armin. He's still losing it. And the big thing here is that everyone's basically out of gas, and they need to get to the supply region, and it's completely swarmed by Titans. So the situation's super grim. And then she's like, I'll lead everybody because I'm better than you. And then they follow her, and she almost gets herself killed. And then she has that reawakening moment with a pomegranate. I don't even know.
I still don't know the significance of the pomegranate.
Yes.
Yeah, but basically she comes to this moment where she's about to accept her fate, and then she's like, no, I fight for Eren. And then, resolve once more, and they go fighting, and then all of a sudden the big moment here is that they encounter this Titan that has abs, and
important parts.
I mean, the rest of them are kind of fat and gluttonous.
Well, think about it, because they've eaten people.
It's true. So this one is definitely different, and the big thing is that he is fighting other Titans. And so they come up with this plan that they're going to retake the supply by leading the Titan against all of the others. And it works. And it's super cool. And so they get all their supplies back, and there's some, like, I don't know, resolve happening on all sides, especially with John being like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to lead. And then, you're a great leader. Okay, let's lead.
There's so many of those moments in this chain of episodes.
Yeah.
Marcus Freckles were like, you can do it. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they get the supplies. Everything seems super great. They come out and they see their friendly Titan being attacked, and it seems super grim. But then he fights to the death, and boom, out of his neck explodes Eren with both of his limbs.
That he lost.
Easily. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my theory about Eren becoming a cyborg, that's thrown out the window, but, you know, this is better.
I miss it. I wanted that to be canon.
The biggest thing here is that I told you Eren was going to not die, and he didn't die. Like, I was right. It doesn't matter how.
I know. They, like, reverse Joss Whedon.
Yes. But I'm so happy about it. Oh, and also, you know, Mikasa is crying and hugging him, and John's like, crap.
Yep.
You can't see the steam's all there.
Yeah, he's just like, what is happening? What did I sign up for?
Yep.
Yeah. He's
So that's
still
what happened.
The negative Nancy.
It was quite a lot.
It was quite a lot. And, Zach, why don't you lead us through our line of questioning here? Because we got a lot to cover.
Yeah, this was very rich. I love these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think of Eren and Mikasa's past? Like, did you see
was
any of that coming?
brutal. No, I really didn't. And, you know, there was a question about their relationship the whole time. It was like, are they more brother-sister? Is there something more? And we see Eren, he's quite a brutal child. But yet, there's, like, something to be said for the fact that he got it, though. Like, he's always been a little headstrong, but, like, he knew if he didn't do something, those horrible men were going to sell her in a slave trade. Like,
Right.
And, you know, the soldiers weren't going to get there in time, and that was his point, so he had to act. And, like, she saw that, and obviously that must have been terrifying as a child, but yet he gave it his all, and so that taught her to give it her all. And that's what formed this bond that I think was totally unbreakable.
Yeah. It's also just a key moment, too, because he, like, teaches her, like, you have to fight to survive,
right?
You know, because he fought, you know, for her to survive, and also, like, when those men first showed up to her house, she didn't fight. Like,
she just took it.
She was just like, you know, what do I do? And then, like, she didn't even run, and her mom's yelling at her, like, you know, you gotta run, I want you to be scared, you need to run.
Right.
And she just can't, she doesn't even know what to do, she can't even do anything, she's just frozen there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Eren gives her fight a little bit there. Which is so great to think about.
It is. I mean, it was brutal, but
Yeah.
it was awesome at the same time.
Yeah. I think that's one of the more interesting revelations about this chain of episodes. But there's also the really big revelation about this this Titan that at first we're not sure what's going on with it, but then it ends up being Eren. But before you knew that it was Eren, like, what were your thoughts about this rogue Titan going around and killing everybody?
I mean, I told you, like, that's what was in the cellar.
Imagery, but just, like, boxed in there.
Yes.
I mean, I've had this fixation the entire time that Eren couldn't die because we haven't learned what's in the cellar. Like, that's been my whole theory, so...
There's just, like, rows of Eren clothes in the cellar.
Yes.
No, or in your theory that there's just this Titan
in a box.
Titan in the box sitting in the cellar. And then it was like, oh, time to fight things and kill Titans.
Yep.
5 years later, he figures out the family's not there.
Can I come out now?
Oh, man.
But yeah, no, I was totally confused. Like, I knew something was up. And to be honest, my more realistic explanation was that Dr. Yeager has obviously been working on something, and I thought it might be a way to control the Titans. And so I thought that might be be it.
Titan Ultraman.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. Well, yeah, no, that's a... I mean, I was blown away when I first saw, like, that Titan. Like, I sat there and I was like, no, they're gonna kill Mikasa.
That's exactly what I thought.
Because, like, they just killed Eren, and I was just like, you know, like, no holds bar on this show. They don't care about anybody. They just kill them all off.
Yep.
Yes, everyone. And everyone has, like, had near-death experiences, so you've never felt comfortable.
No,
ever.
and she had accepted it, too. That was the worst part. I was like, no, she's totally resigned her fate. She's going to be like, I'm going to go join Eren. Like...
You dumb fool! You represent Japan!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, let's see. How on earth do you think Eren did what he did and was all titanized?
I have been trying to theorize this.
So what are your theories? Just spitball with us.
All right. So we saw him get swallowed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was by
Titan
Santa
got him.
Claus Titan, right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't in Santa Claus Titan. It'd be one thing if it was Santa Claus Titan, and like he
Right.
he figured a way to get to like the spinal cord and control it from there, but he didn't. So he must have either like cut himself out or, like I said, get pooped out or something. Like I don't even know. Like he got out of Santa Claus and. I don't know if there was like a Titan that was already basically dismantled and he was able to climb inside, or like partial regeneration. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we saw him clearly in like the same pocket where they always cut.
Right.
So he's at like the control center.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and the weirdest part though is that I guess like he's fully regenerated by taking that Titan's power. Because that Titan wasn't regenerating.
Mm-hmm.
We saw like its limbs torn off and it never regenerated, and yet Eren was.
I think we see it get regenerated once though. Like
A
it
few
punches
times.
the one Titan,
Does it?
remember? And it's like it punches its
Yeah.
hand like clear off. And
Yeah,
then
like-
you see the hand regenerate.
Oh.
onto
Yeah,
it.
his fighting style is so like crazy that he's steaming all the time because he's literally throwing his body so hard.
But
into
then
everything.
Yeah.
why wasn't he regenerating his arms?
I don't know. Maybe it was an
That's a
issue
good
of
question.
like how much damage had been done because like he has like missing like large chunks of his chest.
That's true.
And, like
Yeah.
he was taking on at like 8 Titans at a time, and
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know if it's one of those.
Very
sorts of
few
things.
Titans have been hurt that much, even by cannon fire.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, it was awesome, regardless.
It was pretty awesome.
Nice.
One of the things I also like about this episode is we get to see all of the cadets from those episodes that were introduced kind of like really shine, especially since the focus has shifted, at least for these episodes, away from Eren a little bit and away from all that since he's not there for most of it. So we get to see a bit of each of the cadets having their own due. And there's this question of, like, who would make a great leader in it. And it's something that Jean, struggles with, and it's something Mikasa struggles with. So I was just wondering who you think out of all of those cadets would make the best leader.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting because Jean, like, I was making fun of him that he keeps having these introspective moments in the middle of battle. But it's like, wait, everyone's dying. I need to stop and consider who I am. But at the same time, it was pointed out, that he is, like, scared just like the rest of them. And that might make him a good leader because he doesn't put himself above the rest, whereas like Mikasa's like, I am better than you, and just charges in. And then she recognizes that like she was a little headstrong and that she almost got everyone else killed, which is very Eren-like for the record. He just charged in and everyone died.
We were watching that on repeat.
Yeah, well, I honestly was terrified because everyone had their hopes up for a second. I was like, we've seen this before.
Yep.
It was literally your comment.
Yeah. But I think it's been most interesting to watch Armin's development during this because, like, he was terrified at the beginning of episode 6 after watching everything that happened. And yet we all of a sudden see him starting to use his brain power.
Yeah.
And, like, he's putting together all these plans that are saving a ton of
Yeah,
lives.
he
and
like
they're
becomes like this master tactician.
He does.
This episode.
like, everything was Armin. So, like, I think he's the hidden power in this.
The diamond in the rough.
I'd also like to put also Krista maybe on the ballot, who's like, hey guys, let's not fight each other and, do things.
I'm gonna put Yumiya on the ballot for
Being
Yuri
like,
fantasies.
yeah, so she was just like, oh, you're such a peacekeeper. Let's get married. What?
Yeah. What?
What?
Yep.
There was a lot of that going on. Like,
'Cause this is one of those ones where you don't feel like they'll like spare words for like translation's sake.
Right.
No. I'm pretty sure as far as like the dub goes, which also for the
Pretty
record
well
we are
spot on.
watching the dub.
Sub is fantastic.
It is, but it does really closely match the original where she's just randomly like, let's get married, and everyone's just like, dub.
What?
What?
She's always very chummy with Krista.
Yeah. That was definitely funny. But yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Sasha's also chummy with Mikasa, but...
Oh, yes. She's just
different.
like, you're a goddess.
Oh, yeah. I felt so bad for her this time because we keep seeing, like, Sasha as the comic relief, and then she totally, screwed up.
Oh, yeah.
During Armin's plan, and
Yeah,
it
she
almost
does.
cost, like, multiple lives, and she was really falling apart. But, like, at the same time, I feel like we haven't seen Sasha yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she's gonna come out a hero by the end of this.
Thank God Kawaii Eyes Titan didn't get it.
Oh, I know.
I was scared. I was like, they're gonna take out the funny one.
Yep. Her and Connie both.
It's
I
like killing the
know.
dog because we don't have any pets in this show.
Yes.
Oh my God! There's no, like, iconic plush that you can make out of them. It's all people.
I know, it is all people. I mean, unless you really wanted to make, like, a little, like, Titan plushie toy.
I wouldn't want to go to sleep next to that.
I almost bought a Titan mug, though. I'd drink its brains.
Oh, gosh. So one of the things I also like about this chain of episodes is the, it brings it up this theme, again, I feel like is sort of consistent in the show, about, like it's this sort of, like, animals, like, eating each other theme, and, like, predators and prey, and Eren in the first several episodes is very clear, like, hey, like, this whole city thing that we live in, it's like a corral, and we're all
Yep.
cattle. And Mikasa brings it up again in her flashback. She's just, like, she rationalizes the violence that just happens to her as a child as, like, the natural order of things, like predators, like, feasting on prey. So I was curious what you thought of this theme in this set of episodes.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. In her flashback, we see multiple times that she's always turned away from this notion. But then after what happened to her parents, like, it was that moment that she just realized, that this is how the world works. And I think they think that way because they aren't the top of the food chain. Like, they're not in control. And I guess maybe that's how we would feel if we weren't, because, like, they haven't been able to fight this in the past. And so, like, is it better to just accept it? I don't know. But I think that it makes her maybe not value life as much. And it's not like a character flaw per se. It's more just like what she's been through. And it's pointed out, I forget who points out to her, it's like, what have you been through to make you so callous? And it's like, yeah.
One of the people from, like, the rear guard.
Right, from the rear guard.
And she sort of, like, shrugs
she
it
shrugs
off.
it off because, like, it's not like she's about to go into her backstory right there. But, like, I just don't know if it's what makes her a better fighter or if it's, like, what's going to be her undoing.
But, like, for Eren, I know it gives him strength because
Right.
he's
Yeah,
just
'cause he has a drive.
he's like, I'm going to resist the urge to be, like, cattle. I'm going to resist being prey. I'm going to fight against it. And, like, it's not really clear where that is for Mikasa at that point, because she just sort of recognizes, like, hey, this is the way the world functions. But, I mean, as long as I got Eren by my side, like, I'm going to keep going.
And do you think that robs her of some of her power, that she's relying on someone else in that way?
See, I've been trying to figure that out. And when she almost died, I was like, oh my gosh, no, because it was basically like, Eren's gone, what do I have left? And then all of a sudden she turned that around, and I don't think she herself realized why, because she's like, why? I was ready to die, and then, she kept fighting. So I think that was a growing moment for her because she couldn't depend fully on Eren anymore. And now that he's back, I think that, like, her attitude's still going to be different now. And I think that, and also how she almost led everybody else to their deaths, I think she's valuing more than just what was happening between her and Eren. You know, it's bigger than that.
Plus, I feel like the absence of Eren in this episode really allowed her relationship with Armin to kind of grow a little bit, because, like, it seemed like the friendship dynamic more or less existed more between Eren and Armin, and, like, Mikasa was along for the ride before.
Right.
But, now, like, she's, like she was developing that, like, bond with him over these few episodes.
Yeah, she mentioned, like, there's, like, multiple times when that brain of yours has gotten Aaron and I both through things. And then he's like, when have I saved you? She's like, I'll tell you about it later. So I'm interested.
Yes.
And this may have been one of the few times Mikasa actually interacted with other people.
I
just 'cause
know.
Eren left.
That's true.
Because she had that tag-along mentality.
Yep.
Huh. But let's see. Where do you think that Eren and Mikasa's relationship is going moving forward? Like, how is the dynamic between them? And you can even add Armin into the mix. Like, how is that going to be now? Is everything going to be the same, or is it just going to be, like, different?
I think that, well, with what they've been through, they've all grown up, you know? Like, they've had to grow up super fast. And the fact that Eren basically faced death, you know, and got through it, I think he's going to be way less rash. And then after seeing what's been going on with Armin and how he's able to lead and use his, you know, brain power, I think that there's going to be a lot more cooperation, for lack of a better term. Less just charging in. I think they're going to work better together. I think that Mikasa and Aaron are definitely, like, going to be a thing. Because, I mean, like, she was crying and, like, I can hear your heartbeat. And, like there was a lot of that going on. Because they didn't get a chance to even figure out what that was before. But then all of a sudden she had to live without him. And I think that was a realization moment for her.
Yeah. Well, you know, it'll be interesting to see how Eren being a Titan for this episode will impact things moving forward. Not just for, like, his relationships with the people around him, but just for, like, what this means.
Yeah.
For, like
what the heck does that mean?
the whole world.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we move into our weekly wrap-up questions here. Zach, why don't you go first on this?
All right. So, if you could have one question answered about what's happened in these past few episodes, what would it be?
Obviously, how did Eren get into that Titan? Like, just how?
Just how? Just why?
Well, like, I can rationalize, you know, the recovery of his limbs and everything by using the Titan's powers, but my question is, how did he get out of Santa?
It's a burning question.
It is.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see if we get the answers to this anytime soon. But for now, let's talk about the cadets again. We have to crown a cadet of the week for which one was the most awesome this week.
Armin, hands down.
Armin.
Yeah.
Hey, I approve of this.
Brain power.
I mean, it's an interesting choice considering a lot of different people do a lot of really different cool things.
Yeah.
But Armin, I definitely would agree with that, just because nothing would fall together the way that it did if it weren't for Armin's, like, planning everything.
Exactly.
Right, there's been way too much just like fools rush in sort of thing. And he all of a sudden was like, we need to plan, and it saved so many lives.
Yeah. Let's move on to the question of your feels. Your
My
good
feels.
feels and your bad feels.
All right.
So I'm sure maybe your good feels came at the end with Eren and Mikasa.
Yeah.
So what about your bad feels?
I think my bad feels honestly would have been at the flashback with Mikasa's family.
Oh,
like,
it hurts so much.
Like, it makes so much sense, but like at that moment I was absolutely horrified by what was going on.
Yes, she was.
And it's so sad, even because like the conversation they're having is so sweet. Like she's like, "Oh, like you're gonna have a baby someday, Mikasa," and then
She's like, "How does that happen?" And then they're all laughing.
Yeah, and like Dad's being awkward because he doesn't want to give her the birds and the bees talk.
It was just adorable and just awful, like absolutely terrifying. And the way that her mom died was just brutal. So definitely a bad feel.
Yes.
And that cut for like just a very second made you think, oh, maybe it didn't happen. It's like, no, we saw the aftermath. And you're like, dang it, you're right.
Oh, I know, because they were like editing it together in like such a way that you're like you thought that like the that Dr. Yeager and Eren were gonna show up at the door, and then like then it shows like behind the door and there's blood everywhere. And it's just like, oh no, what happened? Oh gosh, no.
And honestly, I expected Mikasa right there to gain her resolve and like strike, but she didn't. And so that gave me a ton of character development on her part too.
All right. And this week, how screwed do you think humanity is on a scale from 1 to 10? 10 being totally screwed and 1 being almost probably okay.
All right, so where were we at last week? Was it a 7.5 or?
Yeah, you were up there.
Yeah, it was high. I don't remember what exactly it was.
But was it an 8.5?
Well, I mean, because remember, last week ended with Eren
No,
getting
I think you might have given it a
and
solid
everybody
8.
dead.
Solid 8? Well, we've definitely seen some hope here. Like, definite hope. I think I'm going to bring him back down to a 6.
Okay. No, that's okay. But yeah, because they aren't out of the woods.
I mean, they cleared out all the civilians from Trost, and they got a maybe super cool asset to fight some Titans with.
Winning. Abs.
So
Yes. The abs titan.
I mean, so yeah.
But I don't want to go lower than a 6 just yet because, we've already seen the first wall decimated.
Right.
And we still have the armored titan and the colossal titan.
And there's still a hole in this wall, too.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
we're not out of the woods, but yet there's hope.
Well, you're gonna have to tune in next time to see how much, things change for the good or the better or the worse.
Or the bad.
But yeah, so if you are following along with this podcast and you have watched Attack on Titan before, we would love to get your input. Maybe you got a few questions for Caitlin yourself about stuff to come. I know I can maybe think of a couple burning questions for things that are going to get real crazy real soon.
No.
But yeah, well, I hope you're enjoying this. I'm enjoying it. Caitlin, are you enjoying
Oh,
yourself?
absolutely.
This is the best.
It is a lot of fun. If you want to connect with us in any way, you can reach us on our YouTube channel. We are Useful NPCs on YouTube. We do a lot of gaming videos and things like that, so you can check us out there. You can also follow us on Twitter at Useful NPCs. And we also have a Tumblr where you can connect with us. So, yeah, Zach runs that, and he has way more fun with it than he should.
I'd rather
maybe.
you give me things to, reblog, because I'm weird about reblogging. I just, click all of the hearts.
Yes, he just, likes everything.
I do. I like everything. That's Tumblr.
Oh, Zach.
I'm a monster.
You give him one thing, and then he's just like, oh my gosh, this thing.
I know, and all the things, and this is great, and look, and there's, things I can look at, because it's not Game of Thrones, and it's great, isn't it?
That's true. Zach is still working very hard not to spoil himself
I
on
know.
Game of Thrones.
How am I supposed to like things that are Game of Thrones and be safe? There's no way to do it, but I can look at all the Attack on Titan things.
Yes,
and
that's
it's
true.
Okay.
And I can't.
Yes, you can. It's also going to be worth mentioning that after we finish this, we're going to pick up back with our Game of Thrones Watching You Watch. We're going to do Season 2 of Game of Thrones, so get hype for that.
Hype, dragons.
So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we hope to catch you next time when things get real crazy for the gang.
Yeah.
Once again.
May the Titans be with you.
Or not.
We'll have
Only
to
if they
see.
have abs.
All right. Well, we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
See
Bye.
ya.